After selling my grandfather's watch to pay for my stepson's hockey gear, I came home to find my wife laughing with showing off a TikTok. They made life with broke stepdad day 125 in the video. They zoomed in on my face while I was asleep on the couch. The caption read, "Exhausted from doing the bare minimum." I watched it twice. I got angry and said nothing this morning. My phone was full of missed calls. They were begging me to pick up. So some background. I've been married to Allison 37F for 7 years. She has a son, Kevin 16, and from her previous relationship the bio dad hasn't been in the picture since Kevin was 5 when Allison and I first got together. Kevin was just a quiet 9-year-old who liked video games. Fast forward to now, and the kid eats, sleeps, and breathes hockey. And let me tell you, hockey is not a cheap sport. I've been busting my ass working extra shifts at the warehouse and doing side gigs on weekends to keep up with the expenses, custom sticks that break every other month, specials, gates, training camps, tournament fees, travel expenses. Meanwhile, Allison manages the household, which apparently means spending 3 hours daily on her phone and ordering takeout when it's her turn to cook. But whatever, I signed up for this right. I genuinely wanted to be a good stepdad. I tried for 7 freaking years. Last month, Kevin made it onto some elite travel team, and suddenly we needed another $5K for equipment upgrades and camp fees. Our credit cards were max, and Allison kept saying how devastated Kevin would be if he couldn't go, how all his friends were going, how this could be his big break. So I did something I swore I'd never do. I sold my grandfather's watch. This wasn't just any watch, it was a vintage Omega my grandfather left me when he died. He raised me after my parents split, and it was the only thing of value he owned. He worked 30 years at the factory saving for when he was dying of cancer. He put it on my wrist and made me promise to keep it in the family. Said someday I'd pass it to my son. I got $4,800 for it. This place felt like I was cutting off my arm, but Kevin needed the gear, and I wanted to be the dad my grandfather was to me. And then yesterday happened, so I came home early from my Saturday gig because my back was killing me. Warehouse work is no joke. At 39, the house was quiet, which was weird because Allison's car was in the driveway. Then I heard them laughing and Kevin's room upstairs. I went up to say hi, and the door was cracked open. They were huddled over Kevin's phone, cackling like hyenas. I stood there for a sec thinking it was nice they were bonding or whatever. Then I heard my name. "Wesley is such a sucker," Kevin was saying. "Did you see his face when I told him about the titanium stick? Like he actually believes that makes a difference." Allison's laugh was like ice down my spine. "Well, you not exactly the brightest bulb. Remember when he thought your coach really called him for that parent-player bonding weekend that was just so we could have chat over without him lurking around?" Chad? Who the hell is Chad? Hell is. And then Kevin said, "Check out how many views yesterday's post got," and they both started laughing again. I should have walked away, should have confronted them right there instead. I just froze like an idiot while they scrolled through what looked like TikTok life with the broke stepdad day 125 Kevin read out loud, and they both lost it again. I quietly went back downstairs and grabbed my own phone, found the account, and like 30 seconds at broke stepdad life, over 90 videos, 47,000 followers. You guys, I can't even describe what it felt like scrolling through that feed. Videos of me asleep on the couch with captions like "Exhausted from doing the bare minimum," me checking our bank account with "When you realize you can't afford to breathe," close-ups of my worn-out shoes, my ancient phone, the patched elbows on my work jacket. But the worst, what the absolute worst way, was posted the day after I sold the watch. It showed Kevin wearing some gaudy fake diamond-crusted thing on his wrist, while Allison filmed him flexing. The captain said "Upgraded from Grandpa, dusty old timepiece," with laughing emoji. They knew what that watch meant to me. They knew. I watched that video twice. Something inside me just broke, then went cold. Real cold. I put my phone away and sat on the couch pretending to watch TV. When they came down, Kevin asked for money for pizza. I gave him $40 without saying a word. Allison asked if I was feeling sad again with this fake concerned look. I said I was just tired that night. I lay awake while Allison slept beside me. I realized something I spent 7 years trying to be Someone's dad who sees me as a walking 80 yen 7 years with a woman who laughs at me behind my back 7 years being the butt of the joke for 47,000 stranger. I got up at 4 am and made some calls by 6 am I had a plan by 7 am I was gone. They didn't notice at first. Saturdays Allison sleeps till noon and Kevin never emerges before 1. But by mid-afternoon my phone started blowing up missed calls, texts asking where I was, what was dinner money, why wasn't I answering, then panic voicemails when they realized some things were missing, then straight up begging when they figured out what else I done. I'm typing this from my sister Danielle guest room. My phone is still vibrating with their calls. They have no idea what's coming next. Sorry for the wall of text. But my life just went from dumpster fire to tactical nuclear strike. And I needed to get it off my chest before execute the rest of my plan. Part 2 coming soon. When I can stop shaking with rage long enough to type it. Update 1. First off, holy crap you guys. My inbox exploded after my last post. Thanks for all the support and awards and stuff. Didn't expect that. For those asking if I'm okay, I'm getting there. So remember how I said I had a plan? Well, buckle up, because what I did next wasn't pretty, but it was necessary, and yeah, maybe part of me enjoyed it more than I should have. After discovering their TikTok mockery, I couldn't just confronted them right away, screamed, thrown stuff, the whole dramatic scene. That's what they probably expected from broke stepdad, an emotional outburst they could have recorded for more content. Instead, I went cold like Arctic Thunder call. For 2 weeks I pretended everything was normal, went to work, came home, ate dinner, watched TV. All while they had no idea I'd seen everything during that time. I was methodically dismantling the life they took for granted piece by piece. First priority was getting my grandfather's watch back. The day after discovering their videos, I called in sick and went straight to the pawn shop. The owner remembered me, said he hadn't put it out yet because it needed cleaning. Thank God. I had to pay $5,200 to get it back, $400 more than I sold it for. But it was worth every penny. I hinted at Daniel's place immediately next. The financial surgery began. Open a new bank account at a completely different bank. Started depositing my paychecks there instead of our joint account. Withdrew $8,000 from our emergency fund, which apparently was meant for Kevin's future hockey expensive, not actual emergencies. Cancelled all the subscription services I was paying for: streaming meal kits, Allison's monthly beauty box, Kevin's gaming subscriptions. Called and removed myself from the cell phone family plan, starting my own. I also contacted a divorce attorney. First consultation was free. Showed him the TikTok videos. His eyes went wide and he said 2 words that made my day: emotional abuse. Paid his retainer with some of that emergency money. Worth it. The most satisfying part, I did all this during my lunch breaks or while they thought I was working overtime. Meanwhile, I was creating a detailed spreadsheet of every dollar I'd say bent on Kevin's hockey over the past 7 years. The total $67,842. That's a down payment on a freaking house. While I was working on the financial stuff, I started the psychological warfare. Nothing dramatic, just small things to make them uncomfortable. Accidentally left divorce paperwork and my car where Allison would see it when borrowing my charger. Started taking random personal calls in the bathroom with the door locked. Casually mentioned to Kevin that his hockey coach had reached out to me. He hadn't, but Kevin's face when White took down all our family photos from the living room and packed them in a box labeled past. Left browser tabs open, researching apartments in another. Said he the whole time they suspected nothing major. Allison asked once if I was acting weird, and I just shrugged and said work was stressful. Kevin barely noticed since he was too busy making more tech talks, yet they kept posting them. Then came step 3, the social nuclear option. I created a throwaway email account and sent links to the TikTok account too. Every hockey parent and Kevin's team group chat. Allison's parents, who have been helping fund Kevin's hockey, to Kevin's school counselor expressing concern about his online behavior, our neighbors and mutual friends. I didn't add commentary, just sent the links with the subject line, "Thought you might find this interesting." While that bomb was silently ticking, I executed the fine phase. They were scheduled to be at an away hockey tournament last weekend, Kevin playing, Allison cheering. They left Friday afternoon. I took the day off as soon as their car disappeared down the street. I changed all the loss legally I could since my name's the only one on the deed, packed up my essential belongings, removed their access to the home secured. He cameras left printed screenshots of the worst TikToks spread across the kitchen table, placed formal divorce papers in the center, and the cherry on top, a handwritten note: "Congratulations on your TikTok success, hope it was worth it, Wesley." Then I shut off the Wi-Fi, which was in my name, took one last look around, and walked out. I didn't hear anything until Saturday night. Then my phone blew up. First came confused text: "Where was I? Why couldn't they get into the house? Did I change the loss?" Then came anger: "How dare I leave them stranded? What kind of man does this?" Then panic: the neighbors were acting weird. Kevin's coach wanted to talk to them. Allison's mom was calling nonstop. Their data plan was running out. The credit cards declined at the hotel by Sunday morning. The tone had completely changed. Begging, crying voicemail: Allison saying she was sorry, it was just a joke, they never meant to hurt me. Kevin texting that he'd take everything down. Please just answer, please come back. Where are you? I didn't respond to a single message. Monday morning, I got a call from Allison's father. Not gonna lie, I almost didn't pick up, but I was curious. The man who always treated me like I wasn't good enough for his daughter was apologizing to me. Said he had no idea what they'd been doing. Said he was disgusted. Asked if there was anything he could do to help fix things. I told him the truth. There was nothing to fix. That afternoon, I met with my attorney again, showed him all the desperate messages, the threats, the apologies. He just nodded and added them to the file. It's been 5 days now. I'm still at Daniel's, still ignoring their calls. The TikTok account disappeared, but not before most of their social circle saw it. According to my neighbor, the only person I'm still in contact with, Allison's parents came and paid for a locksmith, but they've been fighting nonstop inside the house. Kevin's hockey coach called me directly yesterday. Apparently, he's been suspended from the team pending a character review. The coach actually apologized to me, saying he had no idea how much I'd sacrificed. My watch is sitting on Daniel's guest room nightstand. Every time I look at it, I remember my grandfather saying, "A man's word is his bond." Wes, I broke my promise to him once by selling it. I won't break it again. So what's next? The divorce will take time. The house will probably have to be sold. Kevin will have to find another way to fund his hockey dreams. Allison will have to get an actual job for the first time in 7 years. And me, I've got a job interview next week in another city. Clean slate, fresh start. They wanted TikTok fame, mocking their broke stepdad. Well, they got what they wanted. Now they can live with the consequences. Update coming soon for those interested. Thanks for listening to my mess. Finally, update. Hey Reddit, it's been 3 months since my last update. Wasn't planning on posting again, but got a DM this morning that made me think maybe I should wrap this story up properly. For those who missed the first 2 parts, TLDR, my wife and stepson was secretly mocking me on TikTok after I sold my grandfather's watch to pay for hockey equipment, so I blew up their comfortable lives and filed for divorce. So where are we now? Sitting in my new apartment, staring at the rain hitting the windows. It's nothing fancy. 1-bedroom kitchen with a wonky stove that takes forever to heat up, and a bathroom where the fan sounds like a dying helicopter. But it's mine. No TikTok mockery, no hockey equipment cluttering every corner, no constant feeling of never being enough. First, though, let me backtrack bit to explain how we got here. After my last post, things got weird, like way weird. Earlier than I expected. I thought they'd eventually calm down and try to figure out their lives without my wallet. Nope, the desperation escalated to levels that honestly made me uncomfortable. For the first month, I maintained zero contact except through my attorney. Cost me a fortune in legal fees, since Allison would call him for the stupidest reasons. My favorite was when she had him contact me because the garage door opener seems broken and Wesley needs to fix it. My attorney actually laughed when telling me that meanwhile I stayed at Daniel's place. My sister is the real MVP and all that let me crash in our guest room. Mates, I ate actual food instead of just chips and energy drinks, and most importantly, never once said "I told you so," even though she totally could. She never liked Allison, always said there was something off about how Kevin treated me. but respected my choices enough to keep it mostly to herself about that Chad guy. Yeah, it turned out to be Allison's fitness instructor who made house calls when I worked late. Neighbor confirmed seeing his car multiple times. Not gonna lie, that once stung a bit, even though our marriage was clear. The already dead, just another layer of betrayal. I guess the financial fallout hit them hard about 6 weeks, and I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Kevin using a friend's phone. Since I blocked his number, his message was just one line: had to sell my hockey gear, hope are happy now. I didn't respond, but I did feel a twinge of something. Think not exactly guilt, maybe sadness for what could have been if you'd actually see me as family instead of an 80. And with legs. Week 7, Allison got a job at a local coffee shop, found out through mutual friends who went in and saw her there. Apparently she looked tired and angry. Welcome to the working world, Allison. The rest of us have been here all along. The divorce proceedings moved slowly, as these things do. A first court date was tense AF. Sitting across from them in the mediator's office was the first time I'd seen them face to face since everything went down. Allison looks like she'd aged 5 years in 2 months. Kevin wouldn't make eye contact. My attorney pulled out printed screenshots of the TikTok videos as evidence of emotional abuse. The mediator's face, when watching them, was priceless. This mix of disbelief and second-hand embarrassment when she asked Allison to explain why she thought this was acceptable behavior. Allison just mumbled something about it was just jokes, and everyone does content like that. Everyone does not do content like that. There was one moment during mediation that almost broke me though. Kevin finally looked at me and asked in this small voice where my grandfather's watch was, said he was sorry and that he didn't understand what it meant to me. For a split second, I almost believed him. Then I remembered the video of him flexing with that fake iced out watch, mocking my dusty old timepiece, and the moment past financial settlement was straightforward since there wasn't much to split. The house had to be sold. Market's trash right now, so we took a loss. Allison tried to claim half my 401k, but my attorney shut that down with evidence that she'd been draining our accounts for years for Kevin's hockey while contributing nothing herself. The most surprising twist came from Allison's parents. They reached out about a month ago asking them meet for coffee. I will suspicious but agreed to a public place. They showed up looking exhausted. Turns out Allison and Kevin had moved in with them after being unable to afford rent anywhere, and it was not going. Allison's dad said something that stuck with me. He said he'd failed as a parent by never teaching Allison the value of money or respect. Said watching her treat me the way she did me made him realize he'd created this entitlement. Then he handed me an on-up with $5,000 in it for the watch. I tried to refuse, but he insisted, said it wouldn't fix anything, but it was the principle. I took it and put it straight into savings. Last week I finally had to go back to the old house to pick up the last few boxes of my stuff that have been in storage. Was hoping to avoid seeing them, but of course Allison was there waiting. She looked different. The designer clothes were gone, replaced with normal jeans and a plain sweater, hair pulled back instead of perfectly styled. She started with the use how sorry she was, how she'd change, how we could work it out. I just kept packing boxes into my car. Then she switched tactics, getting angry, saying I was being rule by not even talking to asking if I was enjoying their suffering. If this was the revenge I wanted, I finally spoke, told her this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about consequences, about learning that you can't treat people like garbage and expect them to stick around. That I deserve basic respect, and neither she nor Kevin had ever get. She asked about the watch. I rolled up my sleeve and showed it on my wrist. Her face crumpled. Kevin was apparently doing poorly in school now that hockey was off the table. No more special treatment from teachers when you're not the star athlete. Allison blamed me for ruining his future. I reminded her that actions have consequences, a lesson both of them needed to learn eventually. As I was leaving with the last box, Kevin came home, stood in the driveway, staring at me for a minute. I thought he might apologize for real this time. Instead, he just asked if I'd help him with his math homework like I used to. The absolute audacity. A kid. I put the box in my trunk, got in my car and drove away without looking back. So here I am now, new city, new job, lateral move, nothing fancy, new apartment with temperamental apply. Answers: I'm dating again. Casually met someone nice through a hiking group. Taking it very slow. My grandfather's watch sits on my nightstand every night before bed. I winded carefully like he taught me. Sometimes I talk to him in my head, telling him I got it back, that I kept my promise in the end. Do I regret blowing up my life? Not for a second. Do I miss them? Honestly, I miss the family. I thought we were not the family we actually were. The other day I saw a kid about Kevin's age helping his stepdad carry grocery, both of them laughing about something. For a minute I felt this in my chest, not for what I lost, but for what I never actually had. Life's not perfect now. My back still hurts from the warehouse work. My apartment has